When everyone is against you, something shifts inside your mind. At first, it feels like panic. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts race. You replay conversations. You analyze faces. You search for allies. You look for validation. And then you realize something terrifying. There are none. No one is coming to defend you. No one is stepping forward. No one is raising their voice in your favor. And in that moment, you stand at a psychological crossroads. Most people break here. But this is where the powerful are born. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something brutal about human nature. People respect strength, not fairness. They align with momentum, not morality. They follow certainty, not suffering. If everyone is against you, it does not mean you are wrong. It means you are alone. And being alone is a weapon, if you know how to use it. The first transformation you must undergo is internal. Because before you defeat opposition outside, you must silence chaos inside. When you feel attacked, your brain activates survival mode. Your amygdala fires. You become reactive, defensive, emotional. This is exactly what your enemies want. An emotional man is predictable. A predictable man is controllable. So the first law of becoming unstoppable when everyone is against you is this: do not react. Silence is terrifying to people who expect resistance. When they criticize you, remain calm. When they mock you, remain steady. When they isolate you, become comfortable. You are not suppressing emotion. You are mastering it. The strongest position in conflict is psychological stillness. Think about it. When someone insults you and you don't flinch, they feel exposed. When someone attacks your reputation and you don't chase clarification, they grow uncertain. When someone expects you to beg for understanding and you simply observe, they lose control. Power begins where emotional dependence ends. Most people lose because they want approval. You cannot be unstoppable if you need to be liked. You must detach your self-worth from public opinion. Understand this clearly. The crowd does not unite against weakness. The crowd unites against threat. If everyone is against you, it may be because you represent disruption, growth, independence, competence, and that is dangerous. Human psychology is tribal. Groups feel secure when everyone behaves predictably. When someone evolves beyond the group, it creates discomfort. So they pressure you to shrink. They say you've changed. They say you're arrogant. They say you think you're better. They don't hate your attitude. They fear your trajectory. This is where most people make a fatal mistake. They try to explain themselves. Never over-explain your ambition. Explanation is a request for permission, and permission is never given to those who intend to rise. Instead, shift your focus from defense to strategy. If you are alone, you have clarity. No political balancing. No emotional negotiations. No fragile alliances. You can move precisely. The prince teaches a cold truth. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Now understand this properly. This does not mean becoming cruel. It means becoming formidable. When people sense that attacking you produces no reaction, no weakness, no emotional leakage, they hesitate. And hesitation is advantage. Your goal is not to fight everyone. Your goal is to become so internally grounded that opposition exhausts itself, because most enemies are not persistent. They test, they probe, they push to see how much you bend. When you don't bend, many retreat. But you must survive the first wave. The first wave is always social. Rumors, whispers, subtle disrespect, exclusion. This phase is designed to make you doubt yourself, and doubt is the real battlefield. If you start questioning your worth, your direction, your competence, you lose before any external defeat occurs. So here is the second law: build private certainty. Public opposition cannot shake a man who has internal evidence of his own progress. Work in silence. Improve in silence. Strengthen your skills, your body, your finances, your discipline, without announcing it. Let them underestimate you. Underestimation is strategic camouflage. When everyone is against you, they stop observing carefully. They assume your failure. And assumption blinds them. Use that blindness. While they talk, you build. While they criticize, you sharpen. While they coordinate socially, you coordinate internally. Psychological dominance does not begin with loud victories. It begins with controlled solitude. Understand the power of being outnumbered. When you are supported by many, you become dependent on consensus. When you are alone, you become dependent on competence. And competence is unshakable. But there is a deeper layer. You must understand why being against you unites them. Humans bond over shared enemies. It gives them identity. It gives them emotional stimulation. It creates a sense of belonging. If you remove yourself emotionally, their bond weakens. Do not give them drama. Do not give them reactions. Do not give them narratives. Let them talk into emptiness. Eventually, without reinforcement, the energy dissolves. But here is the paradox. You must not become passive. Silence does not mean stagnation. It means strategic patience. There is a difference between hiding and preparing. The unstoppable individual does not attack randomly. He calculates timing. He studies patterns. He identifies weaknesses. While they focus on group emotion, you focus on leverage. Leverage is what changes the entire dynamic. Maybe it is skill. Maybe it is influence. Maybe it is resources. Maybe it is results. When you produce undeniable results, the same people who opposed you begin to reposition themselves. This is human nature. Loyalty follows success, not intention. That is why you must detach from fairness. You may believe they should have supported you. You may believe they misunderstood you. That belief will poison you. Replace it with this: their opposition is information. If they resist you, it means you are disrupting a balance. Study that balance. Who benefits from you staying small? Who feels threatened by your growth? Who gains social status by criticizing you? Observe quietly. You are not a victim. You are a strategist in a hostile environment. And hostile environments forge sharper minds. Comfort makes people soft. Opposition makes you precise. When everyone is against you, you are forced to rely on internal structure. Discipline replaces validation. Routine replaces encouragement. Self-command replaces applause. This is where transformation becomes irreversible. Because once you learn to move without approval, you become uncontrollable. Approval can no longer manipulate you. Rejection can no longer paralyze you. Now consider something deeper. There will be moments where the pressure feels overwhelming. Moments when isolation feels heavy. Moments when you question if it is worth it. This is the psychological breaking point. Most people compromise here. They shrink their ambition to regain social comfort. They apologize for growth. They dilute their voice. Do not. Pain is temporary. Compromise of identity is permanent. You must ask yourself one question. Would you rather be accepted and average, or isolated and ascending? You cannot have both at the beginning. Later, perhaps. But in the early stage of power, isolation is the entrance fee. Understand the emotional cycle of opposition. First, they laugh. Then, they criticize. Then, they monitor. Then, if you succeed, They adapt. Your job is to survive the first 3 stages without losing psychological stability. The unstoppable mindset is built through repetition of controlled exposure to discomfort. Every time you withstand criticism without collapsing, your mental resilience grows. Every time you refuse to retaliate emotionally, your authority increases. Authority is not loud. It is felt. It is the calm presence of someone who cannot be shaken, and that presence intimidates people more than aggression ever will. You must also control your narrative internally. Do not say, "Everyone is against me." Say, "I am being tested." The words you use shape your nervous system. If you frame yourself as attacked, your body weakens. If you frame yourself as challenged, your body mobilizes. Language is psychological armor. Now let's go deeper. When people oppose you, they often expect you to seek alliance desperately. Do not chase alliances out of fear. Strategic alliances are built from strength, not need. If someone approaches you during your rise, evaluate their motives carefully. Were they present during the pressure? Or did they appear when your trajectory became undeniable? Observe who remains neutral. Neutral people are often the most strategic allies. They are not emotionally invested in your fall. Over time, results convert neutrality into support, but only if you remain consistent. Consistency is intimidating. Most people expect emotional fluctuations. They expect you to react one day, explode the next, disappear after. When you show up every day with the same calm intensity, it creates psychological discomfort because it signals permanence, and permanence forces recalculation. Your enemies are not as united as they appear. Groups formed around negativity are fragile. They require constant emotional fuel. If you stop feeding them, they fragment. But you must resist the temptation to retaliate publicly. Public retaliation lowers you to the level of the group. Private advancement elevates you beyond them. The more composed you remain, the more irrational they appear. Over time, observers notice. And observers are the silent majority. Remember this carefully. When everyone seems against you, it is often a loud minority amplified by your attention. Withdraw your attention. Attention is currency. Do not fund your opposition. Instead, invest that currency in competence. Skill is undeniable. Results are difficult to argue with. Silence combined with growth creates mystery. Mystery creates caution. Caution reduces aggression. And reduced aggression gives you room to expand. This is psychological warfare without violence. It is self-mastery applied externally. But there is one more crucial transformation you must embrace. Detach from the need for revenge. Revenge keeps you emotionally connected to your enemies, and emotional connection gives them power. Your objective is not to defeat them personally. Your objective is to outgrow the battlefield entirely. When you rise high enough, the same people who once opposed you become irrelevant. Irrelevance is the most elegant form of victory, and it requires patience. In the next phase, you will learn how to convert opposition into leverage, how to build strategic unpredictability, and how to shift from defense to quiet domination. But first, internalize this. Being alone is not a weakness. It is a purification process. When everyone is against you, life is removing distractions. What remains is you, stripped of applause, stripped of illusion, stripped of comfort. And what you build from that stripped state is unbreakable. Now you are no longer reacting. You are no longer defending. You are no longer explaining. You are building. And this is where the real shift happens. Because once you stop seeing opposition as a threat, you start seeing it as leverage. Most people collapse when surrounded by resistance because they think resistance blocks progress. But resistance does something far more valuable. It reveals structure. When everyone is against you, patterns become visible. You see who influences whom. You see who leads the conversations. You see who hides behind others. You see who is driven by fear. You see who is driven by envy. Opposition exposes the hierarchy of your environment, and hierarchy is the blueprint of power. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that to control any system, you must first understand its power structure, not the visible structure, the psychological one. Who craves validation? Who fears exclusion? Who wants dominance? Who avoids conflict? When you are the common enemy, people reveal themselves carelessly. They speak more. They coordinate more. They expose motives. Do not interrupt this process. Let them show you everything. Silence is not only protection. Silence is surveillance. While they believe you are isolated, you are mapping the terrain. And once you understand the terrain, you no longer feel overwhelmed. You feel prepared. This is the moment where most strong individuals make a critical mistake. They try to prove themselves too early. They want redemption. They want public reversal. They want recognition too soon. Power is timing. If you rise prematurely, you alert the opposition. If you move unpredictably but strategically, you destabilize them. Unpredictability is a psychological weapon. When people think they understand you, they relax. When they cannot predict you, they hesitate. Hesitation creates space. Space creates opportunity. So change your rhythm. If you always respond immediately, delay responses. If you always stay quiet, speak once, precisely. If you always avoid visibility, deliver one undeniable result publicly. Controlled contrast forces recalibration. You do not need constant visibility. You need strategic visibility. And when you do step into the light, make sure it is backed by substance. Results silence critics faster than arguments ever will. But understand something deeper. When everyone is against you, your nervous system adapts. At first, the pressure feels unbearable. Then you survive it. Then you normalize it. And eventually, you become comfortable under it. This is where transformation becomes irreversible. Because once you are comfortable under pressure, you develop what most people never do: psychological endurance. Endurance is more powerful than talent. Endurance outlasts alliances. Endurance outlasts gossip. Endurance outlasts emotional waves. Most opposition is temporary, but most people quit before it fades. You must outlast the emotional cycle of your enemies. Remember this: groups formed around opposition require constant stimulation. If there is no visible reaction, no drama, no collapse. The group energy weakens. They look for a new target, or they fragment internally. This is when the dynamic shifts. You are no longer the hunted. You become the stable force in an unstable environment. Stability attracts attention, and attention, when earned through strength, attracts opportunity. This is how you convert isolation into authority. But there is another layer. You must develop strategic detachment. Detachment does not mean you stop caring about your mission. It means you stop caring about the emotional turbulence around it. You must separate your identity from the battlefield. If your identity depends on winning arguments, you are fragile. If your identity depends on long-term growth, you are untouchable. Shift your horizon. Think in years, not weeks. Opposition feels powerful in short time frames. In long time frames, it becomes insignificant. Imagine observing your current situation 5 years from now. Most of the people currently against you will not even be present in your life. So why give them permanent emotional influence? Emotional discipline is not coldness. It is clarity. And clarity allows you to make moves others cannot see. Now, let's talk about controlled dominance. There will come a moment when the energy shifts. You will notice it subtly. Fewer jokes at your expense, more cautious language, more neutral tones, more indirect respect. This is the recalibration phase. Do not become arrogant here. Arrogance invites new opposition. Instead, remain composed. Let them adjust to your new position gradually. The goal is not revenge. The goal is repositioning. When the environment begins to treat you differently, reinforce it with consistency. Deliver again. Improve again. Stay disciplined. Because power is not a single victory. It is sustained presence, and sustained presence builds reputation. Reputation, once solidified, becomes armor. When people think twice before challenging you, you have achieved psychological authority. But here is the final transformation. You must redefine what winning means. Winning is not making your enemies lose. Winning is making their opposition irrelevant. When you become so focused, so productive, so aligned with your mission that criticism feels small, you have transcended the battlefield. And transcendence is the ultimate power move. The prince teaches that rulers must learn not only how to gain power, but how to maintain it. Maintenance requires evolution. Once you rise, new challengers appear. This is natural. But now you are different. You have endured isolation. You have survived pressure. You have mastered silence. You have learned timing. You have studied human behavior under stress. You are no longer reactive. You are strategic. And strategy makes you dangerous in the most controlled way. There is one last psychological key. Forgive, but never forget the lesson. Forgiveness frees your mind. Memory sharpens your judgment. Do not carry resentment. Carry awareness. Awareness prevents repetition. Resentment drains energy. Your energy is too valuable. It fuels growth. It fuels expansion. It fuels mastery. When everyone was against you, they unknowingly gave you a gift. They removed dependency. They removed illusion. They removed comfort. What remained was discipline. And discipline builds empires quietly. One day, some of them may approach you differently. Some may seek alliance. Some may pretend they were neutral. Some may genuinely respect your rise. Treat each interaction with calm evaluation, not bitterness, not naivety. Calm evaluation. You are not the same person who felt overwhelmed at the beginning. You are someone who learned to operate without applause, and that is rare. Most people need approval to function. You function without it. That alone makes you unstoppable. Because if no one can emotionally destabilize you, if no one can provoke you into self-sabotage, if no one can lure you into distraction, then your trajectory depends only on your discipline. And discipline, once internalized, does not require permission. The world respects outcomes. It may resist the process, but it respects outcomes. So let them resist. Let them doubt. Let them coordinate. Let them whisper. While they spend energy watching you, you spend energy becoming undeniable. And when your position is solid, your competence visible, your presence steady, you will realize something profound. You no longer care who was against you, because you are no longer trying to survive the opposition. You have outgrown it, and the moment you outgrow the battlefield is the moment you become truly unstoppable.